Hello, Fightful Faithful, and welcome to the longest week of our lives. This is the first edition of Sour Graps out of 4 in a row for us. No, 5
banger
in a row.
after banger after banger after banger.
No, if we learned from Trick, you have to pronounce the hard G in the middle. It's pronounced banger, banger,
banger after banger.
After banger.
And also, I'm a hype man that steals other people's stuff.
Yeah, we'll get to it. This is
we have a long way to go before we get to that, Alex. But because I am the intro gal on here, despite being the co-host. This is your NXT Stand to Deliver post show. April Fool's Day, April 1st here. It definitely felt like that was some of the booking
felt like it was April Fool's Day.
Sure did. But please get in your super chats and your humper chats at humperchats.com if you want to get your question or statement read on air. If you are not familiar with how super chats and humper chats work, super chats, you can just donate here by clicking the $sign icon. Humper chats, we get to keep a little bit more of the money if you use humperchats.com. It's a little bit of a weird interface, but they take not as big of a slice of our income if you'd be so willing to send in chats over there. We'll also remind you to subscribe to Fightful Select. Tons of news already coming out of there, and WrestleMania hasn't even hit yet. There was CM Punk news last week. You got Vince McMahon updates of how he could be affecting the sale process negatively or also negatively. There's news on Drew McIntyre's contract as well. Tons of stuff and some hot rumors with a Z. So you know that it's definitely true.
And
all
of
T's, it.
And 2 T's.
And 2 T's.
Hot rumors.
So you know that we're extremely serious about it all. Subscribe to Fightful Select. You're also going to get this feller and myself. I say feller because there was a lot of Red Dead Redemption 2 in my life recently. If you like what you see tonight, you can get an alternative post show for nights 1 and 2 of WrestleMania on FightfulSelect.com. Alex and I will be reviewing the show back there while Sean and Will hang out on the main channel. This channel, which I love, but like Alex and I are really fun. So come hang out.
You gotta come behind the paywall for the good stuff.
Yeah, the hot and sexier, the younger and hotter post show is behind the paywall.
Yeah. So, Kate, we've christened Shawn Michaels as the horrible booking kid.
HBK.
He lived up to his name today. We'll talk all about it. There were a couple of times I feel like he was damned if he did and damned if he didn't.
Sure.
But listen, there's just some really head scratching stuff. You let me know. I was waking up from a nap because my daughter decided to give me an April Fool's prank for at 8 a.m. The night before the morning before the longest night of my life. And here's her prank. She came in and hit me in the face with her stuffed animal a bunch of times while I was asleep. April Fool's, Daddy. Like, we got to work on your creativity, but
I respect it though. Did she lay it in?
I mean, like a few times.
She got her shit in. I'm proud of her.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, she doesn't go half-assed. Are you kidding me? So that's 8 a.m. And so I had to take a nap before this ridiculous thing. So I was like, I got until noon local time for this thing. But then I set my alarm a little before that and woke up to your thing. Oh my God, they're doing the match you hate the most on the pre-show. I was like, they're doing matches on the pre-show again? Since when did that happen?
You said, with like kind of the monkey's paw.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of things today that I felt I was like good, but also bad. Not full on monkey's paw, but like getting a pre-show match, great. Doing this match on the pre-show, a little weird. But this is where it happened. It feels very weird that Tyler Bate was on a pre-show match. That just feels like it should be probably a felony, if not a high-level misdemeanor.
Make the 5-way a 6-way and put that dude in it. I mean, okay, so So by the time I actually got my Peacock up and running, and if you want to get your Peacock up,
you had to ice. Your daughter was hitting you in the head with the stuffed animal.
That's
true.
Had to
go to concussion protocol. Make sure you're okay.
If you want to get your Peacock up and running, use a blue code Fightful.
That is our sponsor later.
Of course it is. But by the time I got up and running, the match was already over. So I like rewound to like watch the thing. I didn't see the match. I just saw the angle that closed the match. People, well, let's see. People whose opinions I do not trust said Ava Raine looked good.
She did.
Okay, good. Because the only thing that I saw her do was the worst looking wasteland I've ever seen. You know, Wade Barrett's old finisher. We put somebody up on their shoulders,
so good.
And then dump them onto their back, like flipping them over. She did one to Thea Hale, and it was like, here you go. I'm just gonna go ahead and set you down there. And I was like, oh, I hope the rest of her wasn't that bad. But hey, if she does, good. I'm glad. Like, I want everybody to look great. Good. Okay.
I would say she looked good. I don't think she looked great. I wasn't like, oh my God, this is an incredible debut. But she didn't look. There's people who have been doing this a lot longer than her that look a lot more lost than she did in this world. Yeah. She looked perfectly adequate.
Yeah. So they've now beaten down everybody in Chase U. The Schism has at the end of the match. And if there was anything noteworthy in the first 5 to 6 minutes of this match, whatever. But so everyone's been beaten down, including Tyler Bate, who should probably be able to take all of these jokers by himself, but we're not going to talk about that. Duke Hudson is there, like, all right, I'll fight you 1-on-3, 1-on-4. Like, what are you going to do? And then, like, Joe Gacy walks up to him and whispers something in his ear, and then somebody hands him a Schism shirt, and he holds it out to Duke. You do it, come join us. And Duke Hudson looks at the shirt, looks down at Andre Chase, and looks back at the shirt, and then he takes off his Jewish University shirt, and he puts on the Schism shirt, and he stands with the Schism. And I was like, oh, boo, Duke Hudson, boo for turning on the Chase U. And then he walks behind them, rips off the shirt like Hulk Hogan and starts beating on him from behind, and the rest of them all get up. They do the thing I hate, which is the Chase U stomp. I hate that move. Hate it. And then they ended up beating him with a really nifty, cool-looking double team maneuver called the Fratliner, which, as we love puns, that's a really good pun for a name of a move. This angle is impossibly dumb. It's an impossibly dumb angle, and it wasn't the dumbest angle on the entire show.
No, so I do like that in a sense it made Duke Hudson look a little bit clever, right? Like there's been these seeds of doubt. Unless that was coordinated with Chase U, I would imagine they would have been pretty annoyed up until that moment. But
right.
It also just kind of, not to be anti-spooky, but I kind of am. It shows you how difficult it is to like meld spooky world into something else world, because like the Schism doesn't recruit people by giving them t-shirts. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but Chase University does. Like that's their thing. That's their symbol.
They literally recruit people by giving them yellow smiley face masks and buttons.
Yeah.
So if you were going to recruit somebody mid-match, you would give him a little yellow mask to wear. He'd put it on, and then he'd walk behind him, and then he'd take it off, and he'd rip it apart. But he has looked like Hulk Hogan. So,
well, it's just like those also look like they're from Party City, so it's not great. I feel like the reason the angle that you're going to have a problem with later, which I have a much bigger problem with, this actually, it went to serve the story. It made sense in a wrestling capacity. I understand not liking it from a taste perspective. What we saw later didn't really make sense in a wrestling capacity. So even though this isn't my favorite angle, like it did at least advance and resolve the story a little bit. I'm assuming we're going to get an Ava Raine, Thea Hale one-off out of this.
I listen. This feud continues and it sucks. The feud sucks. Both acts suck. I don't like it. What I would argue, if you're going to have a match with this stipulation on the line, You have to do the ending of the match that causes the stipulation to go into effect. Otherwise, there's no need for the stipulation.
I agree with. This was a one where you said damned if you do, damned if you don't before. I don't want the Schism to control Chase U, but it does feel like you went out of your way to not do something then.
Right.
So I agree with you in that the proper booking call probably would have been to have the Schism go over. I don't want to see that though.
No,
therefore
they didn't have to add the stipulation to the match at all. They were already moving toward a big match. Adding the stipulation to the match requires you to pay off the stipulation, because otherwise just do the match without the stipulation. The stakes aren't magically higher, because guess what? Chase University isn't a real thing, so like there's not a real thing, so you're not actually fighting for anything, but we put the stipulation in there because then it gives you more content to do after the stipulation is paid off.
I get that they did it to like sow seeds of doubt with Duke Hudson, but like it also feels very anticlimactic of then what for Duke Hudson? He's just a part of Chase U. Like he didn't have a problem with this at all.
So much of my problems with WWE booking and any booking, honestly, is if I look at it and I go, okay, now what? That's the major problem I have going forward with an awesome moment, and I'm super happy for the person who got the moment, but then now what? And we'll talk about that in the next match we're going to talk about. Like, I want to have somebody explain to me, okay, so if it's just going to go back to Chase U being what Chase U has been for the past couple of months, then you're just doing the same shit over and over again. No one's progressing. Who cares? Like if you do a ridiculous thing like give Schism control of Chase U, at least something now is different. And that's always better.
I do also feel like this wasn't really built in a way that it was like Tyler Bate and Duke Hudson versus GYV. And it wasn't Harlem Bravado versus, you know what I mean? Like if they're going to extend this by then going and doing the segmented matches, I feel like that should have been the build to this, which would have made way more sense. So it does feel like it's in the mud. I think the logical booking call would have been to have Schism win. I'm glad they didn't do it because I don't want to see it. But if Duke Hudson is just a part of Chase U, the dissension doesn't really make any sense. Like I don't understand what the call is there. So I love Tyler Bate. I love Duke Hudson. I'm happy for Ava Rain to have made her debut and it to have gone decently well, but I don't want this to continue, but for it to make wrestling sense, I feel like it has to, which I don't love. Like I feel like Stand and Deliver should have been kind of like putting a bow on a lot of these stories that we've gotten, and this has already felt kind of long.
Like that's the whole for me, the whole way it used to be was everything was a build to WrestleMania, and then WrestleMania.
Yeah, it was like your season finale.
Yeah. WrestleMania is the big blow off to a bunch of stuff that can only happen at the biggest show, the granddaddy of them all. Like, and so Stand and Deliver, if that is your equivalent, then it shouldn't be like, and here is a match in a series of matches that leads to other matches that don't actually mean anything. You can't put one of the matches in there on this card, like make them important, and they're not making them important. So
agreed.
I want to address this. No, I'm sour. It's different. It's very different.
You guys don't have to watch this. Like, I appreciate that you do, but like, if you don't like this, you don't have to watch it.
Listen. So there you go.
And the other thing is, like, I'll just say up front too. Most all of the time, like the in-ring is fantastic, and we'll talk about that. But like, Alex I believe the world through to what end? Like it's a waste of all that wrestling if it doesn't go anywhere that's productive.
There's so much talent in the ring in every one of these matches, and I feel like the people who are their bosses actively waste it by the angles they book, and that's my thing. That's why I get frustrated watching it. That's all.
If you just love good in-ring wrestling and you're not into like needing logical stories and stuff, this is a great program for you. If you're like, this is I love phenomenal in-ring. This is for you. But the show is called Sour Graps, and we like it when things have a point to them.
Yeah.
So then, like, go away if you don't like it. Nobody cares.
So we're starting out. We start out the actual card with the women's match that made no sense in the booking of it, and still makes less sense now.
Yeah.
So, Kate, Roxanne Perez did not win. She had to be in this match, you see, for everyone else who suffers from anxiety just like me, to prove to them and to myself that we can overcome our anxiety and move on with our lives and do great things. That I need to prove that having anxiety doesn't make you a loser. So they booked her to lose.
You DM'd me and just said, why are we doing this to kick off the show unless Roxanne doesn't win? And Roxanne did not win. In fact, Indi Hartwell, who I'm very happy for.
Listen, I love Indi, man. I love Indi. She's long overdue for a moment like this. But what? Like if you said to me, Roxanne gets all the way to the top and she's about to reach for it, and she is thwarted by Tiffany Stratton, who then goes to the top and takes the belt and becomes Roxanne's true rival for the next year. And they have awesome matches. And Roxanne, her whole thing is the chase to get back the title she never got pinned for. That's an amazing story. Okay? Tiffany Stratton, the heel, winning the title so they can have the pure babyface Roxanne chase her. That makes sense to me. I love Indi, and I think she deserves this moment. Here, in this spot, I don't know how it makes sense for another babyface who is not Roxanne to have the title. Unless you're calling up Roxanne on Monday, and I think she's ready in the sense that she's a great wrestler. And also, I don't think the main roster is ready for her because they've got a logjam of all these women who aren't the four horsewomen or Asuka or Bianca or Rhea. Like, that's it. Those are all you've got. Like, honestly, well, she can replace one of the horsewomen because one of them's gone. So they have three horsewomen and Asuka and Bianca and Rhea, and then everybody just in this mishmash underneath them. And like, if you're going to elevate her above all of them, I guess sucks to be them, but I don't feel like they're going to do that. So she's going to go up there and be just the youngest girl on the main roster and have all the storylines, because I don't trust them to be more clever than this. All the storylines be how, oh my God, she's a baby. She's a little sweet baby. How could she possibly be a wrestler when she's a sweet little precious baby? And that's going to be her whole storyline for the next 2 years. I don't want that for Roxanne. Roxanne having great matches against a true rival in Tiffany Stratton for the next year in NXT is a way better thing, I think, for all of wrestling, not to mention just Roxanne and also Tiffany, to have that be a thing in NXT. I love Indi. I think this is an amazing moment for Indi. Good for Indi. And now what?
If I was going to book it, Indi would have gotten called up a while ago.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
I also don't understand if you wanted her to win. If they don't make this a huge part of the story, the fact that Indi was in like the second chance match, the losers match to get here, you're just making her look like kind of weaker out of the gate. Right. I'm now very nervous that Charlotte beats Rhea and they have Roxanne pull a Paige versus AJ Mendez, then AJ Lee situation. And Roxanne beats Charlotte for the title in like a huge upset. And they waste all of the momentum that Rhea Ripley's had. But the story of it's just fundamentally a bad idea to have a story that says, Roxanne collapsed and has anxiety, and so they stripped her of the title. And then there was ambiguity around whether it was her title or not from the commentary team here, which wasn't great. Title is up for grabs. Roxanne's in the match. To have her say, I have to prove to myself and not be able to do it, does make it sound like if you have anxiety, you're a big loser. Like, this was a terrible idea. My complaint with this angle initially was you tipped your hand on the booking, because obviously Roxanne's going to win. You're not going to do this and then trounce anxiety and mental health, which they kind of did here. Now she didn't get pinned, obviously. And Love wins. It was nice to see Dexter Lumis back there, but now I'm like, okay, is Dexter Lumis in NXT? Like, what is going on here? I feel like in the same way that yesterday we had Supercard of Honor, we need clarity around the ROH and the AEW divisions. I feel like we need clarity around like who's working where in NXT and the main roster. I think we're overdue for some call-ups. We're going to talk about the Creeds later. Julius Creed has definitely outgrown NXT. But I just feel like, okay, Dexter was like, he came back after being released and then was the Mrs. Henchman and then was floating around. But now is he back in NXT to help Indi with this run? Like, it's all just a little bit confusing. And again, very happy for Indi Hartwell, a wonderful moment for her. But there was no story with her going into this other than she lost the qualifying match and then won the second chance match. So I don't know how they're going to make it feel like that was the right move on Tuesday, because it feels like even if it wasn't going to be Roxanne, to me, it should have been Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah, I mean, that's the easy call to me is she's progressed so much. She's so good. Tiffany Stratton, by the way, doing amazing thing. The match itself was a lot of fun. All these women did great stuff.
A couple scarier spots. You got a couple scarier spots. Catch your gals.
Tiffany took the most gnarly spine buster. Literally on the spine, just like it bent her like backwards over a ladder in a weird way, and then did a moonsault thing to the outside that nobody caught her for, and she landed fully on the same part of the back that landed on the ladder. So she's just gonna be just purple all over the lower back. Hope her kidneys are okay.
She's gonna have a Tiffany Bruisiphany. Nailed it.
The match was good. It did not feel like did it feel like this was to you? Because it did not feel like this way to me. Did it feel like to you like they laid out the match like Roxanne is in this match because she needs to be, because she never lost her title? Did it feel to you like there was a special fire within the champion / former champion, because you couldn't figure out which one those things were? Did it feel like it did not feel to me like it was Roxanne's match that she had to win? Like, I feel like the only reason you do all that rigmarole with her collapsing and then being stripped or maybe not stripped of the title, and then begging to get back into the match, like, you do all of that so that you're planning on laying out the match to match that story, and they didn't. She felt like she was one of the 6 girls in the match, and that's not what the story you had been telling with her was.
Yeah, I think this wasn't like the best Agenton match, just like in general. I think some of those scarier spots with Tiffany Stratton were probably things that should have been like fleshed out a little bit more. I'm obviously not like backstage seeing people lay stuff out, but just the way that it looked to me, it didn't feel like there was a ton of story driven here. And part of that was probably because of who ended up winning. I'm just really thankful that Jeremy Lambert's not here. Like, of all the things.
I don't want that.
No, nobody does.
Alex Pawlowski!
Hey, long time no see, buddy. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Oh, we're good. We're just talking about some weirdly booked wrestling. How you doing?
You guys are talking about the ROH show from last night? I thought this was the NXT post show. I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong show.
Oh, look at it. Nice.
Sad. Very sad times on the ROH show.
It was.
Yeah.
Highs and lows. Hi. How is everybody?
To what do we owe the pleasure?
I know.
I've been working really hard this weekend, so I'm like, I'm just gonna take a break and ruin other people's shows for
that sounds like fun.
No, only helping. We're talking about this ladder match. We're talking about Indi Hartwell going over and kind of how it didn't feel like there was any urgency with Roxanne. Like it didn't feel like there was a ton of story, which I guess with ladder match we just mostly look like first spots now. But
I thought Roxanne was just like, hey, she's in the match. Just forget about her collapsing a few weeks ago. I guess it's been like a month now. Just forget about her collapsing, and then she was cleared. She's just participant number 6 in this match. It was strange. I've had my fix of multi-person ladder matches after last night anyway, and just Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels loving his ladder matches is always a thing.
And everything else, and every other angle he's ever done.
Shawn Michaels loves him some Shawn Michaels. Bless that man.
Somebody asked him the question, is like, hey, no, we're doing all my old angles because we think they work.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're fully cognizant of the fact that you're just running back all your playing the hits. Good for you. Oh my God, he admitted.
Bless him. Again, bless him that he's like, it's 30 years ago. We got a whole new audience. So it's great. He's like you'll appreciate the Yankees joke here. It's the A-Rod picture where he's basically making out with himself in the mirror there. That's Shawn Michaels is what he's doing. We need him to recreate that.
If we find out he's got a painting of himself as a centaur, we know he's gone full A-Rod.
Oh, bless him. At least he didn't do a post-show media thing. No, that's the other reason why I'm here is I don't have to cover that. I got to cover Triple H. Hey, look, in fairness to Shawn Michaels, he wants to keep those things like half an hour. Good on you, Shawn. Good on you.
God love him.
Other people take notes with your 2-hour press conference.
Anthony Khan, come on now. Jeremy,
how
are you holding up in general? You're having you've done a lot of work this weekend, and it's midday Saturday.
I'm about to grab another thing of coffee because I'm about on like 2 coffees a day, and it's 2 times caffeine. I'm trying to get Vinny Pacifico, shout out to him, to send me some Bang energy drinks.
Nice,
and,
nice.
I'm ordering pizza for dinner, so
nice.
That's what we're doing. That's what
this
we're doing.
This is a weekend to just make it easy on yourself. Indulge. We're not trying to be healthy. We're living our lives.
I'm trying. Bless all the water, straight water. People can't really see inside the cup, but nothing but water, and that's it. And coffee. That's all I'm fueled on. Water and coffee.
Wow.
Any scoops you want to leave us with? You could just make something up if you want.
I broke the Vince McMahon has a mustache story. I'm giving myself credit for that.
I was like, if this is April Fool's joke, I'm gonna be pissed. But it was.
You would not believe how many people like actually DM'd me. It was like, is this an April Fool's joke? And that's why I finally put like, here is the source video under that tweet, because a lot of prominent people, I won't call anybody out here. Alex McCarthy, Connor Casey, Lure Dangor.
Wow. You said prominent people.
I did say prominent people over there. Louis Dangor. Yeah, that's on me. I'm going to get out of here before I ruin the flow of your show.
It's all right. No, it's fine. Listen, this is just us yelling about stuff, so it's fine.
No, it's awesome.
That's always your show. Yelling on stuff.
True. That's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
What is your shirt, Alex? Now I'm very curious now.
It's the Ghostbusters as the king of the hill cast.
Oh, nice. I like that.
Alex always has fun shirts.
He has great taste in shirts. When he did the Super Mario Home Alone shirt, I messaged him. I was like, "This is a fantastic Christmas gift." So I got that for the wife for Christmas this past year. Yeah, that's a really great shirt. Right
I'm glad I could contribute to the happy family.
Oh, you do great with those shirts.
There was a promotional picture of Becky and Seth together, and I saw Seth in his purple suit, and I was like, Jeremy's going to have to renew his vows. He's got
Yeah, just for that, just to see if he'll let me borrow that suit. Bless them. They're one of my favorite couples. Them, Moxley and Renee, also just great couples out there. All right, I'm out of here. Bye, guys. Everyone enjoy NXT, the post show, I guess, this show, and everyone enjoy WrestleMania for the next 5 nights.
Yes.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Jeremy. I love Jeremy.
Jeremy's great.
I mean, I can't stand him.
No. No, can't. Hey, he gave you your big break, which ultimately led to you being on this show. So
I know. Yep. And in it with me saying I'm not on Sour Grab, so
that's good. There you go.
I got to do a little pipe bomb recount. I'll post the link on my Twitter.
That was fun. That was fun. So then the end of the match is such. Indi is there and apparently cannot stand, and I do not remember the spot that she took that made her unable to stand. I'd have to go back and watch what it was, what giant spot that she took that then she couldn't stand 3 or 4 minutes later. But she couldn't stand. So Dexter Lumis slid into the ring directly beneath her crotch and looked up at her with his eyes dreamy, and then put her on his shoulders and walked up the ladder with her on his shoulders, which is technically cheating. And we don't like it when James Ellsworth does this, but we do like it when Dexter Lumis does it. So I just say,
different.
Listen, no, hypocrisy. It's rampant hypocrisy. But she's able to win the thing because Dexter Lumis is in the power of his love. Now, Dexter Lumis is firmly on the main roster, and Indi is now firmly in NXT because Indi is now NXT champion. I always thought, like, well, just make the way again without Austin Theory, but make the way again on the main roster. It could be a lot of fun. It's like a fun, a stable of familial love and good time shenanigans. But Indi's got to stay in the main roster in NXT for a bit. I mean, that's cool, I guess.
This is all the more perplexing of why Indi won. Like, if you're gonna reunite Index, do it on the main roster. Why not? But I am very happy for an Indi Hartwell title reign. I'm intrigued to see what that is. I'm intrigued to see what happens with Roxanne. Not from like a storyline standpoint, but I'm guessing she's going up to the main roster. They gotta straighten out this women's tag division all over the place. So
if she is not going to the main roster, if Roxanne is not going to the main roster, and I mean like with the quickness immediately, this booking decision is inexcusable. It's inexcusable. Like, inexcusable. If you want to tell me Tiffany Stratton's the champion and you want Roxanne to chase and that to be the overall story that leads you all the way to Battleground and beyond, fine. I get that. But a different babyface other than Roxanne, and Roxanne just gets to stick around and be another person on the no. I remember like, well, but then, what if you turn Indi heel? So you do this amazing feel-good moment with Indi finally becoming the champion and doing this awesome reunion with Gargano and Candice LeRae and Dexter later in the show, and you're going to do all of that and then turn around and make her a heel?
No.
I mean, don't do that. That doesn't seem right.
I'm so sad Jeremy left right before we were talking about love, because nobody loves love more than Jeremy.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, it's completely hypocritical of me, but it's okay for Dexter Lumis and it's not okay for James Ellsworth, because in one case love won, in the other case it was just dirty cheating, and it was also the first women's Money in the Bank match ever, so that was double trash. But yeah, I don't know, man. This is
anytime anybody puts somebody on the shoulders and walks up the ladder for them, I go, that's shenanigans. That's just shenanigans.
It is. Oh, it's definitely shenanigans, but it's also love. I do feel like of all the booking decisions, this was the biggest head scratcher. I'm concerned with two things. One, if they call Roxanne up, this whole story going into this was really weird anyway. Two, if she's sticking around, like you said, this makes absolutely no sense to hand this off from babyface to babyface. And three, I hope that there's not something that's like long-term wrong where she was able to be in this match but now has to go away for a little bit. Like, I hope she's sincerely okay, because it felt like
they're gonna put her in a ladder match. Is like, listen, you're gonna have to take time off of surgery, but before you go, how about this 6-woman ladder match?
Well, if it's something different, I mean, if it's something that is mental health or whatever, I hope that she's
also
all right. But then, why are you jumping back in this? This is just weird.
So you're having some mental health issues, are you? Well, would you like to be in this 6-woman match? Could I interest you in this 6-woman ladder match?
Well, and the story is just it's just weird. It is a weird one, but a really fun match. I feel like, I hope Tiffany Stratton's okay. I feel like this was a really good performance for her and a lot of the other women involved. But
Ryan Lambert reminded me of something that I can't believe I forgot entirely about. If you asked me to recount everything that happened in the ladder match, I never would have brought this up. Gigi Dolin's at the top of the ladder, and she's ready to reach for the title, and all of a sudden, JC Jane, officially referred to on the show as JJ, pushes Gigi off the ladder and stands there for a while with the belt right above her, and I was like, Michaels, if you have her reach up and take this belt right now, I will never forgive you. because then you're going to have to do another tournament or something to figure out who's the real champion or something, right? But at the same time, why wouldn't JC Jane in character have just reached up and grabbed the title? Like, oh, this is mine now. So her whole character would be, this is mine now. I got it. I should have been in this ladder match by rights. If Gigi hadn't cheated to beat me in that match where she separated my shoulder, I'd be in this match right now. This is my title. You can take it from me if you want, but it's mine. That's who JC Jane would have done. Yeah. But you put her in that position to do it. And like, all of this was so ridiculous. But after that moment, I was like, I don't even know what we're doing anymore. I don't know. I
definitely didn't think Indi Hartwell was going to win after that. But
no, I didn't. I think that. No.
I love Indi.
We got some super and humper chats to talk about for this one. CO says, so did they force Indi to give up the title due to shenanigans? Would be in line with the forced Solo Sikoa force relinquish. Like, I don't know, man. Like, you can always rely on old HBK, the horrible booking kid, to come up with the most convoluted thing to do possibly, and then never actually really pay it off. So,
well, there were suspicions, nothing ever reported, but they kind of checked out with Solo Sikoa. Sounded like maybe Fox didn't want somebody carrying around a USA belt on their network a bunch because he had side plates and everything. That was like, I felt like they thought he was going to have an NXT run with that belt and then didn't. So that would kind of check out. That math, while I didn't like the justification, if there was a real life reason that they had to reverse engineer it, that's fine. This is completely planned, which is very odd about it. But we'll see. This was definitely a surprise.
For peeps asking about puns, let's do Hollywood stuff. Because
ooh, yes.
Hollywood stuff all weekend. Okay, so if you don't have a good one right now, maybe you'll think of one between now and the select show later. So
Hollywood Hulk Hogan, I already called it.
Yeah,
well, be better. Be more creative with your Hollywood puns. If you're new to the show, we're extremely silly, and sometimes we just do wrestling puns about a different topic. Feel free to participate by chiming in.
Yeah. Ricardo says Indi made my grumpy morning much better. I was very happy to see her win, but it also made me go, what? Like, you know, you can be as
so happy
Orion
for the
Ben
person
says,
so puzzled by the booking. Like both
as
of those
Orion
things are
Ben
100%
says,
true.
As Orion Ben says, I can rejoice for the wrestling family and go, huh? At the same time.
Alex, you know what I just realized?
What?
Wrestling has more than 2 royal families.
Yes, it's true.
Indi Hartwell wins today.
Maggie said it was in the chat, and she says Loomis had to show in NXT, so Indi could finally acknowledge Gargano having been back for weeks. Like they didn't ever have her. Like, hey, Gargano, you're back. Remember me? I'm your surrogate daughter. Whatever happened to my surrogate brother? Is he still out there? And Jenny could be like, no, he sucks now.
Johnny Gargano stood on the altar at that wedding.
It's true. We also had one back for the Schism match. Fake You and Tyler Bate versus Gacy and Pals was a fine match, except for the finish of Duke pretending to turn on Fake You to join the wacky cult. Oh, and then immediately attack him from behind and win, which makes me say, what's the fucking point of this feud? Which is also feeling Dreepy is an absolute student of Sour You, because Sour You preaches what was the point of this feud is probably you can major in what was the point of this feud. That is our most popular major here at Sour You.
I want a Sour You sweater. Like, I like the idea of Duke Hudson being clever enough to turn it on its head, but there's a bigger picture to think about with that, right?
Yeah. So we got our tag team match here.
We did.
Yeah. So Gallus versus the Creeds versus the D'Angelo family. This match was sloppy at points, spectacular at others. And one thing that that combined both of those themes was a spot. A spot where I believe it was Wolfgang. If it wasn't Wolfgang, it was Mark Coffey. And either way, a very large lad had stacks on his shoulders, and then Julius Creed went under, like standing on the apron, and Julius Creed went from behind and then put Wolfgang or Coffey with stacks on his shoulders on Julius Creed's shoulders, and then was just like walking around with two men sitting on his shoulders. And I was like, here's what I think of Julius Creed. I'm pretty sure he could have put a third guy up there and would have been fine. Like, he's incredible. But he walks over into position to do the Brutus cannonball off the top rope Doomsday device. And Brutus jumps off and misses everybody by 4 feet. And they just got to do the bump anyway. Like, it was so bad. He as he passed Stacks, he kind of waved at him. But like, he didn't really make contact. And then of course you got to have Vic Joseph go, not sure Brutus got all of that, but I guess it was enough.
I empathized with, I felt bad for Vic Joseph in that moment, because there's there's not an easy way to do that on commentary when it wasn't a small thing. He missed it. He missed pretty bad. Yeah. I actually really like this match. Even the sloppy stuff, I was like, they're going balls to the wall. So I kind of appreciated it in that way. Nice to see the visa issues get worked out with Joe Coffey, which came into play here, but I thought was pretty well done for the level of interference that NXT usually does. This made sense. It was a nice surprise. One that I think people saw coming, but I think was good. Julius Creed, we were talking about this just a little bit before we went on air. It's getting to the point. I said a couple weeks ago, and tonight was just like another tonight. It's 4:30 Eastern. Today was a good example of it. Call up the Creed brothers as a unit if you want. Do something fun. Stick them with Chad Gable, whatever. Julius Creed's the guy. At least him has to go up. I would probably call them up as a tag team too, because I think right now that might be a good call. Maybe not, with the tag division just always feels a little bit lost, but you are going to have new champions up there. But Julius Creed is just an outstanding talent. And Brutus did some other really fun stuff in this match. That was like when you go to put down a car window and you do it at a stoplight, so you don't really get any relief, but you get like a slight breeze. That was what that was like with him coming by. It was like I rolled down the window to get air in, and instead I just get this gentle.
Yes.
Gentle
no.
glide.
This is what you want is like turn on a box fan to get some airflow, but what you actually have is like a toddler doing this from across the room. That's how much of a breeze there was to knock old Stacks off. Now here's the thing: Joe Coffey comes back, right, and he's the inciting incident for this. But Stacks is sitting there, and he's about to get leveled by a lariat or whatever. And Tony D, because the story is now Tony will not allow Stacks to take any punishment in any match they are in together. So instead of allowing the legal man, okay, who is in the match, to take the blow and then run around to the other side of the ring where nobody can prevent him from sliding in to break up the pinfall when his legal partner is pinned. He shoves Stacks with enough force to knock him out when he hits the edge of the announce table, and then he himself gets taken out, so he can't break up the pinfall. And Tony D, you're supposed to be a smarter guy than this. I thought you was the guy with all the plans. I thought you was the guy who thought 2 steps ahead and knows what move you're gonna make before you even make it. Instead, he actually took out his own teammate because, yeah, it was too bad. Anyway,
I do think there was an opportunity for. I don't think this was a bad booking call. I think there was a fun opportunity that you had to put this on Tony D and Stacks, but I think there's also a really fun direction you can go with them out of this. Of like, you're supposed to be my underboss, and I'm out there protecting you, and going
But
in the direction of
right. I think
we
you're
had
right.
gold on the line, and you didn't do the job.
I think you're right. However, later in the program, they explicitly went in the opposite direction of Stacks beating himself up backstage and Tony, hey, listen, no, don't you dare do that. You have nothing to be ashamed of. You went out there and fought for this family. You're part of the family. I don't want to hear you beating yourself up about this. And then that was one of Pretty Deadly, I think, had 12 wardrobe changes during this whole thing. But one of their wardrobe changes, they came in to like make fun of Tony D and Stacks. So that set up a match for Tuesday.
I actually really liked Pretty Deadly on this. I feel like because you had an afternoon show, somebody as absurd as them and over the top and flamboyant was actually a really good call. Because I got to tell you, like mid-afternoon wrestling it's a weird thing.
10 a.m. local time.
10 a.m. local time, which means their call time was 6 a.m. and that was probably just for the boys.
9:40 is when the pre-show match went on the air. Local time, like those people in LA, they don't get up that early on Saturdays.
No, do you know what the traffic would be too?
Well, I lived in LA for 8 months. Like nobody but here's the thing, it's Saturday. So like if you want to like go grocery shopping, the best time is like 9 a.m. on a Saturday because everyone is in bed. So no one's at that place. But hey, you know what? It looked well sold, so good for them. This did feel weird. Like we got a Scottish witch coven making their entrance before noon local time. That is an after dark act. I'll tell you, that is an after dark act. You got to do that one later in the evening.
Don F in the chat saying a croissant upon entry. They should have done that. They should give you brunch at this thing, whether you're in a box or not. Not even brunch, straight up breakfast.
Yes. Everyone gets one of those little boxes of cereal you can pour milk into that you would eat as a kid.
Yeah. Oh, those were the best.
So Michael Branson, of course, asks, what colors would you pick as the colors for Sour You? And obviously it's purple and green with a little bit of burgundy in there, maybe. But yeah, I think purple, like a nice dark purple with some green, vibrant green. That should be good.
A big green S.
We then got the best match of the weekend in a walk on WWE. Let's say that WWE. The only thing on the main roster shows on Saturday and Sunday that has a prayer of catching up to this is Drew and Sheamus and Gunther. Now, some hater in the chat, hater of me, is going to say it's going to be Seth versus Logan Paul. And to that I say, screw you, that doesn't count. Logan Paul's not a wrestler. So I don't care if he can do flips or jumps. I don't care. He's not a wrestler, therefore the match doesn't count. I'm looking forward to that Drew versus Sheamus versus Gunther, and I think that they very well might surpass this, but they got a lot of work cut out for them because this NXT North American 5-way match was amazing. This was so good. It was laid out so well. All the guys had amazing spots in it, including one that honestly I feel like if you're gonna have Wes Lee take this move, it should therefore disqualify him from being the winner of the match because he's doing like a full backflip, like a gymnastics round off backflip things, and then takes Axiom's finisher, which is a running single leg drop kick, to the face while upside down and 2 feet off the ground. And I feel like if any move says, okay, well, now that guy is out of it for the rest of, for the duration, it's that move. But near the end, when it was just like Dragon Lee bouncing off the ropes to like run full sprint at a barely conscious, barely standing Ilja Dragunov, who takes the last of his energy to throw one of the most wicked lariats you will ever see. I'm like, this match is it. You're nothing surpassing it. And it was so good. And as again, I've said, the only thing on night 1 or night 2 of WrestleMania that could possibly really surpass it is another multi-man match that will be entirely different from this one.
Oh, it's
so
my
don't come to me
thing.
like, don't come to me and be like, oh, you just like the flippy guys. Why don't you go watch AEW?
No, you
just
definitely
like the flippy
don't.
guys. No, listen, I do like flippy guys, but I also like big hosses who beat the shit out of each other. I can like both things.
Well, you like story above more than anything, I feel like.
Do.
And
more than anything
so
else,
that is almost abandon of a specific style in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
This was a masterpiece. This was some of the best commentary we've gotten from Vic Joseph. Booker T was killing me today in parts of this, but he did a really good job of outlining a lot of the reasons people were either in the match or deserve to be. He did a really good job talking about JD McDonagh and Ilja Dragunov. To me, this is probably just because I have such just an absolute admiration for the guy's work. Ilja Dragunov really just stood out to me in this match. Like his work in this was some of my favorite that happened in the match. I think partly because stylistically he is a little bit different. And in a match, we talked about this with the qualifiers going into it with the Battle Royal they had. I was like, if they want to put a big guy in there, I would have loved for it to have been Odyssey Jones. We were nervous it would be Von Wagner. It ended up being Axiom, which was the right call. But I was kind of like, you almost didn't need one of those guys because Ilja Dragunov just brought such a different flavor to it. Not that he would do the same work a big Haas guy would do, but like him being a little bit more of a hard-hitting, striking, grounded dude just kind of centered this match in a way that I think was really helpful. And I loved the animosity that existed between him and JD McDonagh in this the entire time through. Athletically, this was incredible. There was a really scary spot with Dragon Lee's knee where I thought,
oh God,
that made me so nervous. I was like, if he was going to win, they're going to call an audible because I thought he was like out of it. He didn't recover, thankfully, but I wonder what we're going to see after. Sometimes when adrenaline wears off, we find out things that aren't great. But that made me so, I was like, please don't be the guy that debuts in an incredible match and then is shelved for 7 to 9 months because they blew out their knee on a spot like this. It broke my heart. But I had said on Twitter, I was like, this is like a ladder match without a ladder. The height we were getting on some of these moves, the types of moves we were getting, absolute blast. And yesterday at ROH, we had Vikingo and Commander. And I was like, man, we are getting some really insane matches in the past 24 hours of this style, of lucha style. Yeah. So really, really fun.
They need to work on Dragon Lee's entrance because they do the thing with Axiom where he's like the Flash, and like he goes back and forth, and like there's like a strobe effect which makes him look like he's really moving fast, but taking 3 steps to one side and then 3 steps to the other side doesn't really make. We should come out and then sprint right past the camera. And that would make him look like he's moving incredibly fast. But, like, it doesn't make sense for him to move and then stop. Because once he's stopped, you're no longer doing the thing. So, Axiom doesn't work.
It kind of just looks like he's doing the Macarena or, like, the electric slide.
They did the opposite effect on Dragon Lee, where he came out in close-up, and they had, like, he walked out in normal motion, all of a sudden they moved it to slow motion. Like, I was like, okay, all right. But then they did it again, and this time it glitched. And then when it caught back up to him, he was looking off this way, and then they put a little thing of like, hey, you've never seen this guy before, but he's his former champion and all these other things, and he started wrestling at 17, but it covered up his entire face. And I was like, that ain't good, guys. That's not great. Yeah.
They also lighting and all of that was really cool about it. I wish they had just had it in normal speed, because I feel like you didn't even need it. When he first stepped out there, I was like, oh, they've immediately made it feel like he has such a presence about him. And then, it was kind of a shame that got tripped up a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know why they needed to do that, but especially with one guy, your purpose on the entrance is make him look really fast. The other guy is supposed to look really slow, but it's Dragon Lee. I don't understand why that happens. Shot Kid says Booker's contributions on commentary today. These guys are great. I have no idea who any of them are, but they are really talented.
He kept calling Dragon Lee kid. I was like, he's 27. I mean, he's not an old timer, but I was like, he ain't Roxanne.
Everybody's a kid to Booker T. And also, it's just like I've been able to tune him out occasionally. I will have just, you know how, I don't know, like there's a frequency of his voice, like that I'm just able to like, okay, that is just a buzz. I can just hear a buzz. There's no words being said. I've tuned my ear to like never really hear things that he says. And all of a sudden I'll get taken out of that like attunement and I'll hear a phrase and be like, what? But I was in good mode today. I was in God mode with that whole like the buzz thing, and I couldn't hear anything. And then on my Twitter feed, I'd see somebody, what the hell is Booker T talking about? And I was like, I'm so happy that I didn't hear any of that.
Well, because he wasn't really. I think what helps with your little tuning out is he doesn't really say a whole heck of a lot. Unfortunately, like it's I feel like there's such an opportunity for. Oh God. Here I go again, talking about how much I love ROH. But they brought back Nigel McGuinness yesterday to sit in with Ian and Caprice. And I was just like, he immediately added value. There was one part where Caprice Coleman says, in 1 month he's going to be married to his wife for 20 years. And Nigel McGuinness goes, sounds like less time for murder. Like he just immediately established like who he is, what he was doing there. Booker, I just feel like kind of keeps things moving along, but doesn't say a whole heck of a lot, unfortunately. Yeah. But I normally can. I'm like, he's not great, but can stomach it. Something about 2 p.m. Booker T. I just didn't have any room for today.
No. And Luis Polito says Lucha and Brit wrestling, Brit Wrest, British strong style is a combo that should be illegal. You put those types of wrestlers in there going crazy, man. I don't know. That's so great.
Oh, it's delicious.
Yeah. I want to call attention to this one. We'll go back to it when we're talking about this match, but what an amazing! Thank you so much for this wonderful donation for throwback. You're the greatest. We'll talk more about that when we get there.
Thank you.
But thank you so much. I wanted to make sure bring that.
Kind
yeah, so nice.
Generation.
So Wesley wins by doing the cardiac kick.
I loved the finish. I loved the finish on this.
I want to see another angle. I don't believe he made contact with Dragunov. I want to see another angle. From the angle they showed, they only showed that one angle twice. It did not look like his feet actually hit Dragunov. But I love the idea of it, which is him doing the Torpedo Moscow to Dragon Lee, I think, as the cardiac kick hit his own head. And my thought, however, with all of this is a man who intentionally uses his own head as a weapon for his own finisher, throwing his head into somebody else's head. Your feet hitting his head at the same time should not really affect him that much because he's already just banging his head into things at this point. But it was really cool. I just don't think he actually made contact with it, but it was a really cool looking thing. I love the idea of finishers being done as somebody else is doing their finisher. I think that's cool. But Wesley wins. Good for Wesley. There's no end of, as they've proven, of challengers for this title. I honestly don't feel like it would have been a bad decision for any of these people to win it in this match. Even J.D. McDonagh, who I don't like, the heel who gets chased is always a really good thing. Like there's
Oh, yeah.
these great young, fast lucha types. Even though you could throw like a Tyler Bate in there once you get him away from Chase U permanently. Like you could have them chase JD McDonagh. Like that's a cool program. But like I don't think it would have been a bad call for any of these guys to win. Wesley retaining just means you have other guys who you can play with, you know?
Someone brought this up on the ROH post show with the Reach for the Sky ladder match, and it applied here too. When it feels like any of those people can win, it just makes it more interesting too, because you're biting at more near falls. You're not like, well, that guy's going to win. I'm waiting for that spot to stick around. And in a match that's as quick moving as this, when you can kind of see any of these guys going over, it makes it really fun. You had brought up the idea of JD McDonagh winning and having people chase. I would have also liked that, but I have no problem with Wesley retaining here. Axiom winning would have made sense. Dragon Lee winning in his debut would have made sense. But I did like the idea of Ilja Dragunov and JD McDonagh already have like this feud brewing. You could easily have JD McDonagh win and Dragunov just be like, all right. And do that. But no problem with Wesley winning here. I was kind of surprised by it because so many people could win. And I also just feel like he's someone that is probably main roster ready at this point as well. They had a nice video package beforehand, which also made me think maybe he's getting called up because they were doing kind of like a nice, almost felt farewell-ish. But no problem with him winning. Really great match. He picked all the competitors, so he should have had it well scouted. And it looks like he did. So this was a phenomenal in-ring display. And it was nice to have a buy-in factor where it didn't feel predictable and any of these guys could go over.
Right. This is why I loved it so much. It did. Orion Ben says this felt like 205 Live at its prime. Just effing awesome. God, I miss that show. I miss all those guys being able to do all that stuff on that show when nobody was watching, so nobody cared. Like it was they were doing it in an arena full of 14 tired SmackDown fans and killing each other with diving off the top rope and stuff. God, crazy. Those were the summer of 2018, man.
It's crazy. I was doing a deep dive because Logan Paul's contract is up, and I was like, I don't think he's done the numbers that people think he's done. So I was looking, and
deep dive.
Mustafa Ali, his like 205 Live matches, the one with Bud Matthews and a couple other ones, they all have like 4 million plus views, and it just made me really happy because I was like, well, we know WWE didn't care about it, and we definitely know social isn't pushing it. So to see that, I'm assuming it's a lot of people like you and I who went back and watched them multiple times too. Like I'm just glad that they exist somewhere like that because it was really, really special professional wrestling work.
No, Tim, that's the bad era of 205 Live. That's not prime 205 Live. That's the era they had to wash the taste out of the mouth with that amazing tournament and then the summer of 2018. No, that's the bad era. We don't talk about that era. That's the bad era.
Hey, there is Enzo Amore news on Fightful Select for all of you.
In case you care about that.
Stands.
Johnny Gargano versus Grayson Waller doing the unsanctioned match here. I was like, oh, the poor women's tag match. Like, you're going to do this 5-way, then the unsanctioned match, and then... Oh, yeah, I guess there is something before the main event. Like, that's never fun to do that to those ladies.
No.
So Johnny Gargano defeated Grayson Waller. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. That is the correct end to the feud that began when Grayson Waller attacked Johnny Gargano when he was doing his retirement speech, and then Johnny Gargano gets to come back for revenge. That's the right end to that story. However... it's the Grayson Waller special. Somebody shows up from the main roster to kick his ass. He loses and moves on. Like, I don't understand why. Like, is this guy the guy? Is this guy a contender to be the guy? Or is he a guy who gets his ass kicked by main roster people when they show up for a week? Like, I don't know. The only person he's beat who's a main roster guy who showed up was R-Truth. And that's I think R-Truth might have actually won that match had he not hurt himself during the match and they had to throw it out. Like the AJ Styles thing, like, I don't know, maybe is that it? It feels like there's been a lot more.
It does feel that way. Well, and my concern is Johnny Gargano beating him in an unsanctioned match. The type of heel Grayson Waller is, he would go back and say, well, it wasn't on the record, so it doesn't really count. And it's like, well, if we look at your record, it can't matter.
Yeah.
Like if the idea is like, well, I didn't actually take the loss, I'm being like that type of heel or whatever. It's like, but you've taken losses all over the place. So it's a little, they could have just called this a hardcore match.
Yeah, it's weird to be like,
but it was good. It was really good in ring. I liked how it started too. I really liked Grayson Waller being sneaky enough to go for the chair, and Johnny Gargano knowing that he was going to pull something like that. Like, loved that being like bang right before the bell. Yeah. Really good in ring work. Grayson Waller, most of my in ring complaints are there with his dumb finisher, but most of my Grayson Waller complaints aren't in ring. And Johnny Gargano was like, I say it with Danielson, it's like, well, you're cheating if you're using that guy as like a measuring stick for something. But fun stuff here.
Somehow the match with Grayson with Johnny Gargano was Grayson Waller's best match. How did that happen? That's
no
weird.
Way. So weird. Jake Hager's best match was with Bryan Danielson. Like, all those feel like it's just cheating. It's just
how did that happen? I did appreciate the moment where because I hated this at the beginning. There's Johnny Gargano's son and his wife. Are we really doing this? Where she
this kid's gonna be so confused. He's gonna be like, my first memory is watching my dad get his ass kicked on the lawn and my mom standing there. My second memory is being shouted at in an arena full of thousands of people.
So
what is my life, baby wrestling?
I'm so glad that they set that up to then end that, because he passes off the baby to somebody else, jumps the barricade, gets a kendo stick, and murders. She obliterated that kendo stick all over Grayson Waller's back. He looked like a mountain lion had mauled him. Like, oh my God, she killed him with it. So that hey, at least Candace got to do something. Thank God.
Yes. And credit to Grayson Waller, because he takes bumps, man, and he takes a lot of punishment in the ring.
Yeah.
Or at ringside with a kendo stick, where Candice LeRae destroys the crap out of him.
Yes. There was one point that was very funny to me, because I don't know which one of them got thrown over the table, but Booker T ended up on his back like a turtle for like 5 minutes. and Vic kept asking, "Are you okay, Book? Book, are you okay?" "No, I'm not okay."
There was one point in that Booker tell me today. There was a point in the 5-man where Booker T was like, "I'm supposed to buy that JD McDonagh is dangerous," and Vic Joseph was like, "You just said he was dangerous like 10 minutes ago or whatever." Like, it was just
So Grayson Waller taps out to the Gargano escape. And I'm really excited, like, that Johnny got a big Mania moment. He got to come back to NXT and have this cool thing, and he got to get revenge on Grayson Waller, who's the heel you're not supposed to like and everything. And now what for Grayson Waller? Like, where do you go from here with a guy who, like, remember, the whole reason this match is happening is because he got pissy because he lost a match to Bron Breakker and then started yelling at Horrible Booking Kid about it and wanted to fight Shawn Michaels. But Shawn Michaels says, "No, I'm retired. I won't fight you, but this guy will fight you." And then he, like, beat the hell out of the guy with a friggin' rake in the middle of his front lawn and then tapped out to him in the match. And, like, what do you do with Grayson Waller after this? I mean, I know the answer is he comes out and cuts a promo, and we're supposed to be like, "Oh, well, he's still, he'll just slough it off or whatever." But no, like, you got to actually do some rehabilitation for this guy, and they won't do it. And then, like, I'm just supposed to go along with it, and I won't. So that's basically what happens on Tuesdays.
That is, if you're watching for the first time, this is what you get on Tuesdays is frustrations with booking and a lot of appreciation for the in-ring. I don't know. I just said to one of my friends, I was like, he's kind of like how they did like the Randy Orton Legend Killer run, except he loses to all the legends. Like, I don't know what the move here is with Grayson Waller. I don't know even how you rehab him. I mean, we haven't seen him in Wesley yet, right? I'm sure they'll probably build up to a North American title run for him, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not really sure where you go with that. But then afterwards, Johnny Gargano goes up the stage with Candice, and then Indi comes out after having showered and put on a wonderful gold dress. She comes out with her title and Dexter, and I believe this was the first time that Candice had seen her since she won the title. And Candice was so overjoyed, and she leaped up in the air and ran over to give her a huge hug. And it was honestly one of the best moments you could possibly do, and doesn't take away from the fact that I have no idea why you put the title on Indi Hartwell for the future. But for now, great. For Tuesday and beyond, I don't know. But for right now, awesome.
Very, very authentic feeling moment. A lot of love out there for Indi. I know Bailey has been in her corner for a really, really long time. She tweeted out a beautiful congratulations. So definitely so excited for the person, just concerned about what you do now that she is champion.
Yeah. So I like this one. Thank you so much for Princess Diana. I know very little about this NXT, but you have tremendous rapport, and that's from Princess Di.
I mean, if there was ever a compliment.
Yes, and I want to say that I think that the paparazzi was far too hard on you, and I think that you did a lot for the world, and I think you great job.
Agreed.
Thank you so much.
And I'm sorry about all the dissension that's happening with like your kids and everything. But
I mean, come on.
Thank you for the kind words. And also, by the way, we do this every Tuesday, and a lot of the people that are in our chat don't even watch NXT. We are very we are sour on booking, but we are extremely silly about a lot of other things. So feel free to join us on Tuesdays after NXT.
Yeah, it is fun. It is fun. So after this, they slotted in the women's tag match, which was never going to be a showstopper.
I'm stunned this was not on the pre-show instead. I think it wasn't because didn't last year they do the women's tag match on the pre-show?
Yes, they did. They did women's tag match on the pre-show last year. This just need to be here. If you did it, I don't know. It's hard. Like I think that the order of everything was wrong anyway. I think you could have easily started with the crazy men's match and then immediately done the women's ladder match, because you knew it was going to end. If you're going to book Indi to win, it's going to be a big moment everyone's going to love. And then you could slow it down with the women's tag match and then build it back up with everything else. But
the old school in me says, like, if the men are going to main event, the second most important match on the card is your opener, and that should be the women's title.
I mean, yeah,
I get it.
I suppose,
but you're right in that it's a multi-women ladder match, which makes opening feel like a little bit intense.
Well, it's weird. All I know is that this was always going to be unfortunate for them. But like I said, the Scottish Witches Coven coming down for their entrance before noon local time is just weird. And then the champs come out and they do a little pre-rehearsed "I don't like you" bit on the way to the ring, where like one of them stands and the other one like loses their hip to like bump the other one out of the way, like it's like a freaking 6th grade pageant. Like, this is like, and again, this is not a comment on the people performing. This is not how you. This angle has always been a trash angle from the beginning. And now, like as they walk down there, well, I don't know how you could say these two are on the same page, Book. Yeah, exactly. Why are they the tag champs? They weren't on the same page when you made them the tag champs. This is ridiculous. And here, honestly, I feel like they got jinxed. because Double Vest was down there. He wasn't wearing even a single vest, and that's the problem.
He was vestless. You're done.
He wasn't even being true to himself the whole time. The angle that ended this was probably dumber than the angle that they did in the pre-show, where give me the purse. I need the purse, and Beej won't give Kiana James the purse. And Josh Briggs, Double Vest, who's not even wearing a vest, says, "Don't you dare give her that purse! Don't you dare give her that purse!" And Fallon's like, "Don't give her the purse! Don't give her the purse!" So then Beej doesn't give her the purse, and she immediately takes a really gnarly finishing move and gets pinned. And Beej tries to get into the ring to stop the pinfall, but Double Vest is holding him back, so he's just doing this while trying to get in the ring, and it's so
that looked very similar to your impression of Shane McMahon work punches.
There are many subtle differences. Shane McMahon throwing punches, Beej trying to get in the ring.
Nailed it.
So, I don't know what she was. What brass knuckles? What's in the purse?
I don't know, but I do know. Thank you for the raid, Ace of Podcast. We are on twitch.tv/FightfulGaming. As my soundproofing falls from the wall with the stupidity of this angle. I feel like until you can prove otherwise, a purse in wrestling is a winner's purse, and you should give it to the person. That's what I think. Also, did you at no point between the pre-show and now check what was in the purse? That seems silly.
So
and
weird.
This has been doomed from the start, right? Like they took over the women's NXT Tag Championships as people who already hated each other. Mm-hmm. I feel like this was extremely stupid. It's unfortunate because I actually liked the very beginning of this angle. I know we were kind of on differing sides of that. I think it was because I was in Hallmark movie glory around December, where it was like the bar was on the line. But what I did like about it was it made Kiana James feel like a real person and a real threat in all of this. Yeah. And ever since we kind of got in this tag world, this angle has really felt like it's fallen off the tracks. Not at all surprised by the booking here because, shocker, the two people that don't like each other lost the titles. Also, Kiana James deserves a better Titantron than a 2004 monogram-looking PowerPoint slide that was hot pink with a gold KJ on it.
Like the person that you knew who took their MySpace most seriously, like that was the thing that was playing on their MySpace page. And if you don't know the person that took their MySpace page seriously, you are the person who took their MySpace page seriously. So that's what it did look like. I believe it was Greg Carter who was in the Sour Grap Society Twitter community who coined the phrase for this match: Team Porn Horse versus Team Spooky Scotland. And
if you don't know, now you know.
Now you know. Fallon Henley is a horse girl, and Kiana James' character when she debuted was a porn accountant. And there's no way to say it wasn't, because it totally was.
You had a black casting couch and her in sexy glasses and a low-cut blouse with a computer and nothing else on the desk. That's is a porn accountant if I've ever seen one, Alex.
Ryan Lambert says, for anyone new, these two lovely people are awesome and will give you a reason to maybe tune into NXT, but 100% make you not want to miss their post show. Thank you so much. We are two lovely people who give wrestlers weird nicknames based on their bad booking. So that's all.
That is correct.
That's all. Bill, I would change my top 8 every day, Alex.
Oh, I was changing my header to be song lyrics that I had just discovered on a regular basis with like tilde asterisk weird casing. I was definitely that gal.
Perfect. Hey, Luis asks if we've done our segue, and since we would need to do the segue, or I don't know. We just brought up Team Porn Horse, and I feel like that's a really great segue into.
It is, and I'll be honest, this is how you know. Like, afternoon wrestling is weird. I completely forgot about our ad read.
Yeah,
but look, if you got a horse that you're trying to use in a pornographic way. You know what I mean? If you need to set up your ladder a little bit better, all right? If your ladder isn't locked in the way you need it to be, and you want lady jumping on it, Blue Chew is here to help you out.
Is your penis soft? Is it difficult to get hard? Do you have issues with sexual performance? Do you have issues with sexual confidence? BlueChew.com, code FIGHTFUL, gives you your first shipment of Blue Chew for free. It will help you get a harder, stronger erection. It will make you more confident in your sexual performance. You take an online questionnaire. You work with an online physician. You don't wait in line at the pharmacy. You don't wait in line at the doctor's office. It's prepared and shipped direct in a discreet package. That way, nobody knows that you are getting Blue Chew in order to make your penis erect. Blue Chew and the code FIGHTFUL gets you your first shipment free if you want an erect penis. I'm going to end the ad now.
Josh Mitchison says, my mom is watching this with me. This is a lot to explain. Listen, yeah. There you go.
Sorry to the moms out there. We have sponsors that help us pay our bills. Some of them involve,
This is true, Orion Ben. We do. We're both
sick.
in dire need of some Jesus. Okay.
We have HBK.
Right.
His tag team partner should be right there.
So I just my major complaint with this ridiculous angle is that I don't understand why Briggs was yelling at Beej to not give her the purse. Like what is in the
The guy that she's having an affair with is in the purse.
Oh, like that guy from Theodore Rex. The little puppet. He comes out and goes, "I'm the man in the bag." Like that.
There it is.
That's who Sebastian is. It's not actually Sebastian. It's Sebastian.
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 Nailed it.
Sebastian.
She has a thing for teeny tiny men in purses.
So, yep. There you go. If you don't understand that reference, we're very sorry.
I'm not. Speak for yourself. If you have not watched the American classic, Theodore Rex, that's on you, people.
Yep.
Get on board.
So the big match at the end. Carmelo Hayes coming out, Lakers stuff. I know a lot of Lakers fans who were positively creaming their jeans at this entrance. And I think it was somebody I follow on Twitter who's like, no one ever comes out to wearing Clippers colors, even though they have the same building and they actually have a better record right now than the Lakers. It's interesting. But anyway, this was a superstar entrance for Carmelo Hayes, who deserves it, who was a superstar.
Was it?
But for them, it was.
Trick is a hype man, and you're stealing Sheamus's material. That feels wrong to me.
Oh, that part, no. That part, no. No, listen, here's the deal. I'm on record. You can go back and check this. From the very beginning of the presentation of Carmelo Hayes in this way, I was like, the only thing he's got to do is get rid of that Trick Williams guy. It ain't working, because at some point you're going to need him to win matches on his own, and they will already have become addicted to having this guy win matches for him and also speak for him when Carmelo Hayes is a great promo. There's nothing that Trick Williams isn't big enough to be the heavy. So right. He's just a guy who he's just his dude who hangs around with him. And although Trick has gotten better at everything since then, he's still not good enough to warrant being the number 2 behind what I believe is the top talent under contract to WWE under the age of 30.
I will say too, there's just something they are filling a need they don't have with Carmelo, because Carmelo is great at every aspect of all of this, including on the mic. Like any of my favorite promo work has been mostly the things that are him on his own. So that's not an insult to Trick. That was just a combination that you didn't need to have. And I feel this way about Swerve too. When you have like the cocky heel that his whole thing is like, I'm really damn good at this, and then he goes in the ring and is. When you add other people to that, I think it holds them back instead of moves them forward. I feel like that's what's happening with Mogul Affiliates. I feel like that's what's happening here. And to your point, and we're going to talk about this specific spot later, which was not, I can't say fundamentally it was bad, but out of the choices that you had was not the right choice. I just feel like you're right in that they got themselves into this trap where Carmelo is almost a face at this point. He essentially is. The crowd loves him. He's one of the few people in this industry that just is over because of how good he is at wrestling, which is always a special thing and pretty rare. But they still have him in this heel cycle, I think, because they wanted Bron to stay face through this. So it's just a little bit cumbersome in the way that piece of it was handled. But the rest of what followed was great. Carmelo's entrance was a superstar entrance. Bron, based on recent events, maybe cut the dog barking from the beginning of the entrance. Today is not the day to remind us that he's a Steiner.
I do believe they spent probably a couple of weeks putting that graphics package for his entrance together, and the events we were filled in on at the end of last night probably was like, well, we have nothing else to do if we don't do this, so we're going to do this, and maybe we'll figure it out from there on. Or maybe they don't care, because that also wouldn't surprise me.
Sure, I would just have him do a regular entrance.
I know, but it's also the last time he enters as the champion, so they're trying to do something.
Very true. Very true.
Bill says, very unsettling hearing Alex saying cream in their jeans at 7:20 a.m.
I immediately thought of Grease.
Yeah, exactly. It's which is a PG movie, and also children watch that movie. I thought this match was laid out really, really well. I think both these guys are really, really great at what they do. As I said, I think that Carmelo Hayes is by none probably the overall greatest talent that they have under contract under 30. I mean, I probably prefer Tyler Bate, but that's a matter of opinion. I don't think you can argue about what Carmelo Hayes can do and what his ceiling is.
Sure.
Even as great as Tyler Bate is, I will would they ever consider booking Tyler Bate in a WrestleMania main event? Never. Carmelo Hayes is a future multi-time WrestleMania main eventer. I don't think that's arguable. He's great. I think Bron Breakker, silly name notwithstanding, has a really bright future. He's gotten better and better and better. To his credit, at his very young age, with very little experience, he has carried this entire promotion on his back for over a year. That's commendable. It's never felt like he was in over his head ever. Has he turned in the best match of the night often? No. Has it ever been the worst match? No. He's a really solid dude who's got a vicious spear, who's incredibly strong, quicker than he has any right to be.
We saw him at the top rope in this match.
He's a very, very, very solid dude who's only going to get better, I remind you, at his ridiculously young age.
And ridiculously young age in wrestling. He is not someone that was on the indies cutting his teeth.
No.
He came into NXT as a former football player.
Yeah.
And I think he's only been doing this for about 2.5 years. So
yeah. The match turns when Trick pulls Carmelo off of he's standing on the apron, reaches up and pulls Carmelo's ankles off of Braun's shoulders, right in front of the ref. The ref sees it, to his credit, sends the guy to the back. Trick Williams has been ejected, and Carmelo is like, okay, now I got to do this by myself, I guess. To your point, I wish he had done to Trick. It's okay. I got this. And then went out and just friggin' beat him.
Yeah.
Carmelo Hayes beating Bron Breakker clean after a year of relying on Trick Williams shenanigans to win almost every match he wins is a perfect story for this match and a button on the arc of him finally becoming champion, of being able to do it himself. It's a perfect thing. And you know how angry I am when they have perfection in the palm of their hands and throw it away for something else. This was perfection. If they had just had Carmelo finish out the match by himself and beat Bron clean, this would have been literal perfection for this transition from Bron to Carmelo. And instead, ref bump, I will say, great ref bump. The ref that everybody was moving around so fast, the ref was trying to clear behind Carmelo to get out of the way, and Bron is so damned fast, he hit that spear too soon, hit Carmelo into the ref, bumped the ref. That was a great ref bump. I've seen a lot of terrible ref bumps that do not feel anything, or there's no way them being hit would cause the way they were hit would cause them to be like unconscious,
knocked out. Yep.
This felt like he got the full brunt of the spear. This was a good ref bump, that never should have happened, because the ref bump then requires cheating ass Trick Williams to come down and hit Bron in the back of the head with the recline. Was doing the center recliner to Carmelo, who does the visual tap out. Another misstep, I would say here. You didn't need to do that because he's going to get hit in the back of the head anyway. He doesn't. You never have to have Carmelo tap out. Maybe he's about to, but that's when Trick hits him. You don't need to do the visual tap out plus the ref bump with the NXT, the belt shot from the henchman. You need to do all that stuff. Everything dramatically lowers the greatness of this match, because then after the belt shot, you have Bron kick out, which is a great moment for Bron, and he gets Carmelo up into this gorilla press, and Carmelo reverses it into an awesome code breaker, then hits his top rope leg drop, gets the pin. 1, 2, 3. He's the new champion. Like, you could have done so much of this while just excising Trick and the belt shot and the ref bump and the visual tap out. You could have gotten rid of all those things. They were all unnecessary. And this would have been a perfect transition from Bron to Melo, especially if this is Bron's swan song and he moves to the main roster. It's a perfect transition, because then after the match, Bron takes the belt and is going to hand it to Carmelo, and sees Trick standing over there, knows he was hit in the back of the head by the belt, and knows who had to have been the guy to do it, and doesn't do anything about it, and hands the belt over to Carmelo, knowing he didn't actually get beat, knowing he felt Carmelo tapping out on his own hand, so he knows he won that match if the ref bump hadn't happened. He was far too gracious in handing over that belt for the way that he lost. And all of that reduces a perfect booked match to like a 5 out of 10. And it sucks. That sucks. It's not their fault. They're great wrestlers. They're so good. That reduces it so much in my eyes, because you made all of these bad decisions that made everybody look bad. Nobody comes out of there looking good out of this. That's bad stuff.
It doesn't lower it for me as much, but it does lower it because of a few things. One, I'm pretty sure Bron's going up here. So why you have to, I think in a normal situation that makes more sense, because you want to also build Bron up to look like the guy who was able to still come back after Carmelo emptied his bag of tricks. But Bron doesn't need that. He's leaving, I think. Or like very obviously moving on from the championship picture. So if you were going to run this back in any way, that would be something that made sense. Or if you needed to protect Bron for anything, you don't have to protect him for anything here. So you're only making Carmelo look weak, especially with the tap out. That was my almost bigger issue, was because you're right. If he has the plan that Trick is going to come down after that DQ,
right,
he shouldn't have needed to do the fake tap. So it does make Carmelo just look a little bit weaker. My other issue with it is Carmelo's on the cusp of being a baby face. That is like pure heel stuff. And he's like kind of already there. He was only healed because Bron is already faced with this. Right. So I don't like that from the fact that he should be kind of tweener at best at this moment. Loved the rest of the match. Loved the story that was being told. Loved how both of them were just throwing everything that they had at each other. Like they were in each other's wheelhouses or in their own wheelhouses for different parts of this. But there were parts where Carmelo had to beef up and show his strength. There were parts of this where Bron had to get creative with some different offense that isn't just the spears and the explosive stuff. He was going to the top rope. He was thinking like a champion. Absolutely adored 70% of this match. Did feel like the end wasn't great. Not as much of a lowering thing for me as you, but that is also, what did you say? You were like my toxic trait or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I agree in that it went out of its way to make Carmelo look weaker when Bron didn't need any reason to look stronger at all. Like of any match in any circumstances, the idea of the guy going to the main roster having to be protected in any way feels kind of silly. So that is a bummer. That is a bummer.
A lot of people pointing out that Bron is on the Battleground poster. I'm pretty sure the one that I saw featured him holding the belt, which obviously no longer applies. So they could easily switch out the Battleground poster. You wouldn't make the Battleground poster with Bron not on it if he's defending the title on the same day you're releasing the Battleground poster. So I don't think that matters at all. I miss the days. Lord, how I miss the days that that the champ in NXT was the next guy to go to the top, to go up. Like you became the champ by defeating the champ. The champ you defeat goes to the main roster. You're the champ for a while, then you get beat, and then you go to the main roster. That's such a clean thing to do with your developmental brand, which this very much still is. Bron losing and going to the main roster, especially since it happens to coincide with the Raw after Mania or the SmackDown after Mania, is such an easy call. And especially if you can reset Carmelo as the guy who wins things on his own now, there's a really interesting deal there, but they didn't do that. So maybe Bron sticks around and they wait until Battleground to do this. Drew Nicholas says, yay Melo and yay Indi, two deserving champions. While I wasn't exactly a fan of Melo visually tapping, but a win is a win. To carry NXT into a new era, the tag scene for both divisions needs work a lot. Yes, it does. The tag scene does need work. So a couple of things here from Throwback, who was amazing. Thank you for the donations. Battleground is going to be amazing after this. Do you see the possibility of a gimmick match like an Enter the Dragon match with Wesley could probably face Dragon Lee? Could there be an Enter the Lee match? Lee, your Lee name, the name Lee is on the line. It's a name on a pole match. He says, I can't got my tickets, can't wait for Battleground. I can. Okay. They know that's Double or Nothing weekend, Double or Nothing Sunday. And they're like, let's do our NXT show at the same time as their AEW pay-per-view. I don't think anyone's been like, well, I was gonna watch the Elite versus BCC, but I already have Peacock. Guess I better just save my money and watch the vastly inferior NXT show. No, you could have.
No, but there's a lot of people that multi-screen.
They've been doing a bunch of these on Saturday. Well, we wanted to do it. We wanted to do it on Memorial Day weekend. Then just do your shit on Saturday and the other shit on Sunday. Am I actually mad about this? Because this means I've got to make some kind of weird Sophie's choice? Yes, of course. It's all about me. I'm being very selfish here. If Sean Ross Sapp thinks that I am watching Shawn Michaels' little weird vanity project over the Elite versus Blackpool Combat Club, he's got another thing coming, because that is not happening.
We are shooting at Sean Ross Sapp over here
right now. I'm kidding. I'm not, but I'm kidding. I'm not, but I am, but I'm not.
But like we are, but we're also not.
I'm a little bit kidding.
They should just start it at like 4:00.
They should just do that. Make us. Remember that one time where we did a NXT Beat the Clock review?
Awesome.
That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Much fun.
That was fun. So Throwback then continues with this amazing donation, and he has an idea here. Do you see Breaker versus Hayes being a kind of best of 3 matches? Do you see Breaker possibly winning at Battleground in Lowell, Massachusetts? Should WWE use Hayes' background of him wrestling at Chaotic Wrestling in Lowell? They pointed out Breaker background on the show. Thank you for the donation, Throwback. It's amazing. I hope it's not because I want Breaker's time in NXT to be done. I think he's proven he can exist in the main roster. He's ready. That's fine. Start up a new thing. However, if it is a best of 3, with the third one taking place at Lowell, the Battleground is like the swan song for him. That could make sense, especially if it is Carmelo winning at Lowell. Like you do the second one, and it's kind of like a DQ or some kind of more schmozzy finish, and that's what you give Bron a rematch. He's been the champion forever. He deserves a rematch. I mean, we already saw the visual tap. We saw that Trick hit him with the back of so he gets a rematch. And in that rematch is a double count out or something. That one happens on TV. So the last one, the final time, is at Battleground. Breaker versus Hayes. It's Hayes' backyard. That's a great time to do the definitive. Carmelo Hayes beats Bron clean this time. It has to be clean at Battleground. And then you move.
I don't like it. I don't like any of it.
I don't like it. I don't like it either.
Call him
I
up.
don't like it either.
Bron Breaker has nothing left to prove in NXT. Call him up.
Yeah. Yep. It's true. I agree. I do think he should be on the main roster. But if you say we have plans for him to wrestle versus Carmelo Hayes at Battleground, I just laid out how they should do it.
Agreed, but I think having plans to do any of it is dumb.
Correct. I thought about that. But I don't think Bron should win that match. I don't think Bobby should lose it. So that's a problem. I love Bron answering an Austin Theory or John Cena challenge on Monday. I think that's a really cool thing. Especially if Austin Theory is overconfident from beating John Cena and he comes out on Monday Night Raw and just to prove there's nobody in the back who can beat me. I'm going to do the old John Cena thing. Remember the old U.S. Open challenge? We're doing that tonight. Who wants it? And then have Bron come out then. All right. So, yeah. Throwback also says Rox versus Indi will probably happen at Battleground. Roxy versus Indi, the Indi's swan song. Then the way will be on the main roster. I don't know, man. I don't see a Roxy versus Indi program unless you turn Indi heel. And why would you do that after this amazing feel-good moment? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me that way. Like, if you want to tell me
that I don't think you give Indi a reign just so she can move up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
weird.
see that. I think they're pulling Roxanne up, which makes me hate the. I had anxiety story even more because it's like, so she had anxiety, so she can't be in the match, but she can't.
Oh, and by the way,
main roster.
She's going to go on the main roster, and they won't even mention it. They'll never even bring it up. Never even bring it up. So couple of things here. Board Dude 360 says Cody out here making wrestling great again, solving racism with his Tupac bars from last night.
I didn't watch the SmackDown Go Home yet. I'm gonna have to figure out when.
No. You really don't have to at all. There was nothing good about it.
I don't even know who won the Battle Royal.
Bobby Lashley, because that's the only thing they have for him this weekend.
Okay.
I'm convinced of that.
They did at least give him that.
At least they gave him that. A thing not actually on the WrestleMania card. Apparently the thing between the Usos and Sammy and Kevin to kick off the show was really good. I missed that because there was a tornado warning in my area, so I had to go to the basement. Anyway,
Glad you guys are okay.
yeah, we're fine. It missed us. It knocked over some trees on the golf course a couple miles of here, but we're okay, so that's good. Hey, Shotkin29 says, oh wait, sorry, let me finish this board dude 360 thing. On the real, ROH slapped and NXT be humping. I don't know about that last part. Stay easy, my guys. Spark one for Mania weekend. Yes, board dude. We'll definitely be sparking one for Mania weekend. And by say sparking one, I mean mainlining caffeine to get through this. That part. We got 3 Hollywood puns. Orion Ben 666 says Santos El Mariachi Escobar. LWO for Vita. Oh yeah, by the way, LWO was back. They gave out shirts and everything. So yeah.
That made my heart sing for real.
CO says the 405 splash, the LA Angelo Dawkins of Anaheim.
That's a great joke.
That's a really great joke, CO. I like that a lot. And Feeling Dreepy says Molly Hollywood. That's a very simple.
Excellent.
That's a great pun. We only got 3 of them, but that was a really good one. CO also says the SGS motto: "We watch so you don't have to." Man, I wish I didn't have to sometimes.
Today, at least, it is helpful when the in-ring is extremely high. Like,
yes.
It does suck when the booking doesn't match up with that, but today, we got some people showing out today. That was really fun.
I said sometimes. Sometimes I don't like watching. And then Shotkin29 says, unrelated, but needed to shout out Effie for his speech to close Big Gay Brunch, calling out transphobia. # trans lives are human lives. It is a fact, and if you don't agree, get the flick out of here. What's that theater show? So we have one jukebox.
I will say, Fightful is for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I could get
it is.
too deep into the crappy comments that were made and the rest of what's going on, but Fightful is for everyone. If you're here, you're safe. We have moderators to make sure you're safe. We have hosts that are loving and accepting of everyone across every show that you have. It's wrestling. It ain't that big of a deal. Hang out here. Have fun. We love you.
Yeah. Okay. So Lord Jackson has requested. This is from also, I believe this is from straight up from New Zealand. These are New Zealand dollars. This is being sent in.
Dang, thank
you. Nathan Frazier picking a Lennon song, which we landed on "Threw It on the Ground." So Nathan Frazier singing "Threw It on the Ground." And I was walking through the city streets, and a man walks up to me and hands me the latest energy drink. Run faster, jump higher. Man, I'm not going to let you poison me. I threw it on the ground. You must think I'm a joke. I'm going to be part of your system, man. Pump that garbage in another man's veins. I go to my favorite hot dog stand, and the dude says, you come here all the time. Here's one for free. I said, man, what do I look like? A charity case? I took it and threw it on the ground. I don't need your handout. I'm an adult. Please, you can't bar me, hot dog man. At the farmer's market with my so-called girlfriend, she hands me a cell phone, says it's my dad. Man, this ain't my dad. This is a cell phone. I threw it on the ground. What, you think I'm stupid? I'm not a part of your system. My dad's not a phone. Duh. Some poser hands me a cake at a birthday party. What do you want me to do with this? Eat it? Happy birthday to the ground. I threw the rest of the cake too. Welcome to the real world, jackass. So many things to throw on the ground. Like this and this and this and that. I'm an adult. 2 Hollywood phonies trying to give me their autograph. Ground. Nobody wants your autograph. Phonies. Then the 2 phonies show up. They turned out they had a taser and they tased me in my butthole. Fell on the ground. Phonies didn't let up tasing on my butthole over and over. I was squirming and squirming. My butthole was on fire. The moral of the story is you can't trust the system. And Bob's your uncle.
Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it.
Thank you. We'll be back tonight on Fightful Select after WrestleMania Night 1.
Fightful Select? You mean FightfulSelect.com where you can subscribe for just $5 to get all of the great breaking scoops in professional wrestling, as well as Alex and I doing night 1 and night 2 of WrestleMania alternative post shows. That Fightful Select, the same Fightful Select where you can read about Enzo Amore and MLW and Vince McMahon and the sale and CM Punk. That Fightful Select, the one with the content about Drew McIntyre's contract signing. My goodness, $5. What a bargain!
What a bargain indeed. Hold on. By the way, over on the Fightful Select shows, we do something called Sour Chats. So if you're watching WrestleMania tonight and you want to throw in your chats, we'll answer them there. Happy Rachel Kate sent in one today. Says JD McDonuts has the teeny tiny eyes of a shrew, and I love that the production keeps drawing my attention to them. So thank you, Happy Rachel Kate. Happy Rachel Kate sent in a sour chat, and so yeah, you too can send in a sour chat about JD McDonuts' eyes, or whatever,
or impressions, or puns, or
anything,
intelligence thoughts about the show. But that's kind of boring.
Anything. All right, everybody. We'll see you in like what, 7 hours. Goodbye, everybody.
I'm gonna power nap for like 20 minutes.
Everything sucks.